Chapter 1347 Extinction. While others were scrambling to kill the Watcher of the Demon Country, Zhang Yi and his people took the opportunity to go to the ancient city. Up to now, most of the masters from the ancient city have come out. According to the current situation, it is impossible for them to sit idly by, so the city is empty. Zhang Yi's choice to do this is not groundless. Because just after landing, the big dragon cat who had been eating rice balls in the space suddenly became excited and gestured to Yang Xinxin and the others with his hands and feet. Zhang Yi immediately understood that there must be something similar to the source of God in the ancient city. He directly made a spatial displacement, silently. Gao Chongkong, Lancelot, and others were all paying attention to the source of the Watcher. How could they realize that he was gone? Soon, Zhang Yi brought people to the sky above the ancient city of the demon country. In front of them, the 9-story demon tower, towering into the sky, stood bloody. It was full of human and sacrifice corpses, and even bloody organs that had just been dug out. It makes people think that the sacrificial tradition of the Snowy Plateau may have been passed down from the era when they ruled. But compared with the Tantric Buddhism, their sacrificial rituals are more bloody. The ground below the 9-story demon tower was full of people kneeling, chanting, and praying to the 9-story demon tower. Some people even took out knives to hurt themselves on the spot, and some people kowtowed hard, breaking their heads and bleeding. Some people near the edge of the 9-story demon tower were wearing uniform clothes and black tattoos all over their bodies. They were performing a bloody sacrificial ceremony. On a stone platform soaked in blood, there lay a pregnant woman who had just been gouged out of her eyes and cut open her heart alive. The fetus in her belly was not yet full term, and the umbilical cord was taken out and thrown into a stone mortar. They knew that the enemy was coming, so they performed bloody sacrifices here, as if they were seeking strength from the demons they believed in. Just a glance, the fluctuations in Zhang Yi's eyes quickly disappeared. In a trance, he finally understood why the Tantric sect was so concerned about the demon kingdom. Even if the passage between the two worlds had been sealed, they would still be concerned about it for 1,000 years and be determined to wipe it out. Kill them all. He said this lightly. The demons who were kneeling below and praying for the protection of the demon god were praying. Suddenly, they felt the sky above their heads darken. Did our prayers work? The demon god has appeared to save us. Some demons shouted in surprise. They looked up, and the scene they saw in front of them made them speechless with surprise. The sky above the 9-story demon tower was completely dark within a radius of 10 miles. It was as if a pitch-black black hole that could swallow everything suddenly opened up in the sky, exuding a breath of destruction, slowly circling and expanding its range. Zhang Yi stood in the air. He heard some of the demon's words, and a gentle smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Fool! Demons never save others. Only killing. As his voice fell, a huge black hole in the void had condensed behind him, completely covering the space within a radius of 10 miles. Zhang Yi's right hand slowly extended, and then pressed down fiercely. Stars fall. The next moment, a majestic void force gushed out from the black hole, pouring down like a rainstorm. Wherever the black void force passed, everything was directly swallowed up. Buildings, earth, people. There was no deafening roar, as if the existence of these things was erased with an eraser. Before the demons on the earth could come to their senses, most of them had been slaughtered. After they reacted, they screamed in fear. Some people wanted to escape, but the area within a radius of 10 miles had been completely covered, and they couldn't leave at all. There were also aliens from the demon kingdom who roared and wanted to fight back, but to Zhang Yi, they were no different from ordinary people. They were just creatures that could be easily wiped out. This movement finally alarmed the people who were still fighting on the edge of the Blood Sea. The Watcher was already seriously injured, and at this time he risked his life to fight Gao Chongkong and Lancelot alone. He was in danger, but even in his prime, his strength was not as good as the two, let alone now. Although he was not killed in a short time, death was only a matter of time. He looked at the huge black hole above the ancient city, his eyes full of fear and anger. Ah! He wailed in pain. However, Anger could not make him stronger. In the face of absolute strength, all struggles were futile. On the contrary, Gao Changkong and Lancelot suddenly changed their minds. What is Zhang Yi? You are worthy of being the sixth brother. Gao Changkong seemed to think of the fight between the two in the past, and couldn't help but smile helplessly. He also knew that the so-called treasure of the Demon Kingdom was most likely in the 9-story demon building. He took a deep breath, and the sun-will sword in his hand burst into a more turbulent golden light, covering him like a god of war. Let's make a quick decision, he said to Lancelot not far away. Lancelot originally wanted to save his strength and compete with Gao Changkong and other potential opponents when necessary. But now someone ran too. He could not tolerate the theft of crystals. Okay, kill him quickly. The knight's long sword conger in his right hand burned with monstrous black flames, and he and Gao Changkong killed the watcher on the left and right. On the other side, the funeral master faced the demon country high priest. Feeling the movement over there, the high priest's eyes also showed an uncontrollable emotion. But now, he couldn't get away at all. The tantric believer who appeared in front of him was too powerful, even more powerful than him who had obtained the power of the demon god. He could only keep fighting to find the opportunity to attack. But the enemy was too powerful. 4 Epsilon-level aliens, and it seemed that each of them had the strength of the demon country high priest. This feeling was deep despair. The funeral master stretched out his right palm to him. Let me settle this 1,000-year grudge today. The high priest's strength was about 16,000 points, which was a huge gap from the funeral master. At first, the funeral master didn't understand his fighting style, so he dealt with it for a while. But now that he has figured out the strength of the high priest, he doesn't plan to waste any more time. In fact, it was because of the commotion Zhang Yi made over there that he was a little anxious. On the other hand, Zhang Yi, with a move of falling stars, directly wiped out tens of thousands of people who were performing bloody sacrifices around the 9-story demon tower. He glanced at the towering 9-story demon tower, which was now riddled with holes by his attack. I seem to feel a familiar breath. A light appeared in Zhang Yi's eyes, and he put down Liang Yu and others. You clean up the battlefield around. I'll go inside to take a look. As soon as the voice fell, he rushed to the 9-story demon tower against the clock. Chapter 1348 Hostility. Zhang Yi wanted to break into the 9-story demon tower to see what treasures were hidden inside. The demon tower that was so valued by the entire demon kingdom was definitely not simple. But when he wanted to enter the tower, he suddenly found that this place was not simple. For some reason, his ability lost its effect again, and he could not pass through the demon tower to enter it. Here it comes, this feeling again. When Zhang Yi wanted to enter the gate of the demon kingdom before, it was the same. There was a force that blocked his supernatural power. The demon kingdom and the tantric Buddhism originated from the same civilization, so it was not surprising that they had the same means. Looking at the dark bloodstains soaked by thousands of years, Zhang Yi seemed to understand something in his heart. Killing is to form a kind of barrier to resist the abilities of the aliens. His previous round of attacks only broke some of the surface of the 9-story demon tower and did not really damage the inside. Zhang Yi did not find a door to enter for a while. After thinking for a moment, he decisively decided to blast the demon tower open. Just do it. Zhang Yi drew his gun directly, and Li aimed at the top of the demon tower from the air. The majestic void power gathered behind him, and then gathered on the heavy sniper. The black void power wrapped around Li like a thunder snake. After charging, a black light instantly shot towards the 9-story demon tower. After a moment, the extremely thin black line expanded rapidly and hit the top of the tower fiercely. Boom! The whole ancient city felt this strong vibration. The ground around the 9-story demon tower cracked inch by inch, and countless houses cracked and collapsed. Zhang Yi put away his gun and took a closer look. His attack was indeed effective. He blasted a hole in the top of the demon tower. Zhang Yi was about to enter it without saying a word. But at this moment, from the distant horizon, A golden arrow streaked across the sky and headed straight for Zhang Yi. The early warning ability of tracing the tracks of all things allowed Zhang Yi to quickly dodge the attack. He looked back and saw Gao Changkong, wearing a dark gold battlesuit, standing on the top of a tower, holding a golden longbow and pointing it at him. "Oh, you're quite efficient," Zhang Yi sneered, and immediately planned to enter the tower to take away the treasure first. "There's no way. If you come a little later, you won't get anything. Compared to that half-dead old man, I think the treasure of the Demon Kingdom is more valuable." Gao Changkong smiled. "Don't sneak away by yourself. I know I can't stop you, but what about the others?" Gao Changkong shook the bow in his hand at the others on the ground, signaling Zhang Yi not to act rashly. If Zhang Yi left at this time, I'm afraid his men might be in danger. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes. This guy is still as difficult as ever. "Haha, who do you think I am? An old friend is here. I have to greet him anyway." Zhang Yi confronted Gao Changkong while instructing Liang Yu and others. "I'll hold this guy back here. You guys go into the Demon Tower and look for any good stuff." Liang Yu and the others also knew that it was difficult for them to intervene in the battle of the Ypsilon class, so they didn't stay here. They were about to run towards the hole that Zhang Yi had opened. But at this moment, in another direction, several people wearing combat uniforms that were obviously similar to Gao Changkong appeared in another direction of the 9-story Demon Tower. After seeing Liang Yu and the others, they all removed the vision-blocking function of the tactical masks and made them transparent. At this time, Liang Yu and the others also recognized their identities. They were the members of the Samsara team that Gao Changkong took with him when he left. There were a few fewer people than before. I guess they had experienced a lot in the past 2 years, and some people might have died. But with Gao Changkong's ability, as long as he was given enough time, he would be able to perfectly explore the potential of the people around him. After leaving Huashu country for more than 2 years, he became very powerful, and so did his men. The one in the lead was Gao Changkong's girlfriend and deputy captain Gu Man. On her left was the chameleon Chen Xiaojing, who had mimicked human form and deceived everyone. On Gu Man's right was a young man with flamboyant white hair and a playful smile. What caught people's attention most was the movements in his hands. His right hand was deftly playing with some multi-sided dice, all of which were made of pure white jade, with strange patterns carefully carved on them. 10 dice shuttled back and forth between his fingers, and none of them fell, which was amazing. Uncle Yu and Liang Yu did not recognize this person. He should not have been a member of the Samsara team at the beginning, and probably joined later. Seeing these people, Fatty Su felt a little guilty. Among them, the only ones who could really fight were Liang Yu and Hua Hua. He and Uncle Yu were slightly weaker, but the 3 people on the opposite side were not easy to mess with. Gu Man looked at Liang Yu and Uncle Yu opposite, smiled gently and asked, "What should we do? Are we going to fight here?" Liang Yu's eyebrows suddenly raised. "If you want a war, I can give you a war." Gu Man shook her head slowly and said, "That won't work, because in that case, someone else will benefit." Not long after she finished speaking, from another direction lawn, the Knights of the Round Table led by Lancelot also arrived. Their combat uniforms were dark blue, close to black, and only under the light would they reflect a hint of deep blue. Seeing that they were all here, Zhang Yi couldn't help but ask curiously, "You guys solved that old Ypsilon so quickly?" Speaking of this, Lancelot sighed angrily. Damn it! It was all in vain. That guy was about to die, and his energy was seriously depleted. I thought it was a good deal, but I didn't expect to get nothing. The Watcher was already very old, and then he took off his identity as a high priest and waited for death on the Sea of Blood. When he died, he would throw himself into the Sea of Blood and become one of the thousands of corpses wandering in the Sea of Blood. Before he died, he exploded for a moment, but it was only a moment, and he was soon killed by the 2. But his body, like a candle in the wind, how could he have any powerful origin? The pitiful origin contained only the power of a high-level Delta alien. Of course, this was just a false joy for Gao Changkong and Lancelot. That's why they came so quickly, fearing that Zhang Yi would get all the benefits. Now the three parties are confronting each other, and no one dares to take the first step, because the person who takes the first step may be attacked by the other two parties. Zhang Yi looked at Gao Changkong, thinking of the things that happened between the two of them in the past, and was a little worried that he would join forces with Lancelot. So he said, "Gao Changkong, we are both from Huaxi country, and we are fellow villagers in Jiangnan. Why don't we join forces to get rid of them first?" Hearing this, the Knights of the Round Table looked at Gao Changkong cautiously, and some of them had already held down the long swords at their waists. Gao Changkong suddenly laughed after hearing what Zhang Yi said. He stared at Zhang Yi and asked lightly, "Do you still remember why I left the Jiangnan region?" Chapter 1349, The Open Card. As soon as Gao Changkong said this, Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes. The next moment, he flashed in front of Liang Yu and others. "Jingwei, open the shadow space and let them in," Zhang Yi said slowly. Gao Changkong and the Knights of the Round Table looked at Zhang Yi, wondering what else he wanted to do now. Jingwei opened the shadow immediately and let Liang Yu and others enter. Everyone chose to believe Zhang Yi. On the battlefield, they must obey the orders of their superiors and not arbitrarily refute them at critical moments. After they entered the shadow space, Zhang Yi took out his 2-meter-long heavy sniper Lei Li and slowly replaced it with a newly made holy silver bullet. This bullet uses a new type of E-metal, which can kill and injure aliens even without using superpowers. Even in theory, there is a chance to kill Ypsilon through sneak attacks. And with Zhang Yi's superpowers, its power will be increased to a terrifying level. "Well, if you say so, I will give up the things in this 9-story demon tower," Zhang Yi said while raising the heavy sniper in his hand. He glanced at Gao Changkong lightly. "But you should know my ability. Let alone the two of you joining forces. Even if there are 2 more aliens of the same level, as long as I want to leave, none of you can expect to keep me. But I will definitely be at a distance, with the muzzle of the gun pointed at your head at any time." Zhang Yi showed a mischievous smile on his face. "Do you want to try?" Lancelot didn't know what this sentence meant, because he didn't know Zhang Yi's ability. But Gao Changkong's face became a little solemn. The two hadn't seen each other for 2 years. Zhang Yi was an alien with firearms as his main weapon. And now Zhang Yi's long-range offensive means must be more terrifying. Imagine what it would be like to be constantly targeted by an opponent you can never kill in a way that threatens your life. Not to mention him, the few people under him will definitely die without any suspense. He is not Zhang Yi, and he doesn't have the means to take people into the different dimension. Gao Changkong suddenly smiled. He waved his hand at Zhang Yi. "Really, my old friend, you still can't take a joke," he said lightly. "I don't care about the past. My enemy is Zhu Zheng and the group of high-level officials in the Jiangnan region who are just sitting there doing nothing, not you. So, we don't have to fight to the death here and let others take advantage of it." Lancelot heard this and laughed. "You seem to be talking about me? Damn, this is really an unprovoked disaster. I don't even know who you are and what your relationship is." Gao Changkong looked at Lancelot meaningfully. "It's already this time. Your Excellency doesn't need to pretend anymore, right? Am I right? The deputy leader of the Round Table Knights of Britannia, Judgment Knight, Mr. Lancelot Dullet." Lancelot looked at Gao Changkong. The arrogant smile on his face did not diminish, but he also slowly fixed his eyes. "I didn't expect that Garuda, one of the 8 tribes of Bharata, actually came from Huaxi country." Gao Changkong has now officially joined Bharata's Special Combat Force organization, the Tianlong Babu, with the organization code name Garuda. This is not only his name, but also the name of his current team. Each of the Tianlong Babu represents an organization. Garuda is ranked relatively high among the 8 tribes. If Gao Changkong was not from Huaxi country, he would even have a chance to compete for the title of Emperor of the Tianzhong. Then Lancelot looked at Zhang Yi. Disguising the superpower as flames is indeed a very clever approach. However, the feature of using a heavy sniper rifle is easy to identify. I know that there are not many superhumans in the world who have the same fighting style and are Ypsilon. So, you are Chaos from the Jiangnan district of Huaxi country, right? At this moment, the 3 parties are already open here. The three parties have formed a balance, and no one can act rashly. If there were only two parties, they would have just fought to see who was better, but they had to worry about the existence of a third party. Zhang Yi carried the thunderbolt on his shoulder, smiled, and silently stepped back a few steps. Forget it, I'm not interested in this thing. You guys continue, I won't accompany you anymore. After Zhang Yi finished speaking, he actually opened the alien space and disappeared on the spot, not even giving them a chance to speak. Gao Changkong, Lancelot, and others looked at each other. Lancelot frowned and said, "He ran away?" Gao Changkong shook his head and smiled. "No, you say that because you don't know him at all."
Not.
Only did he not go far, but he must be watching us somewhere, with the muzzle of the gun pointed at your head and my head. If we really fight, he will be satisfied. Zhang Yi's range is super long, and the maximum range has reached 10 kilometers. With the help of the intelligent system of Qinling armor, he can aim at enemies 10 kilometers away. So, of course, he doesn't need to fight in close combat. Lancelot's expression became more serious after hearing this, and he focused more on avoiding the bullets that could be fired at him at any time. He didn't believe that Zhang Yi could. One shot can kill him within 10 kilometers. Not to mention killing him as long as the bullet hits, he can dodge it with his strong reaction ability. However, the premise is that he cannot fight with others. Gao Changkong obviously understands this truth. The two confronted each other in front of the 9-story demon tower, and the situation was deadlocked for a while. Gao Changkong couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. He originally wanted to trick Zhang Yi, but he didn't expect that Zhang Yi would be cruelly calculated. In the distance, Zhang Yi did not do as the two thought. He found a place that was tall enough to overlook the entire city and landed. There was a lot of noise below. At this time, the residents of the Demon Kingdom were completely panicked, crying, shouting, and angry curses. And in the farther place, at the edge of the Sea of Blood, two terrifying auras were colliding passionately. It was the battle between the Burial Master and the Demon Country High Priest.
In
a head-on confrontation between Epsilon-level aliens. Unless the strength gap is too large, it is difficult to quickly produce a kill. Therefore, even if the Burial Master has the strength of the Black Chariot, it is difficult for him to have an absolute advantage when facing the High Priest who uses the mobile fighting method and has the advantage of terrain. Zhang Yi asked Jingwei to release Liang Yu and others. Several people looked at Zhang Yi, and Liang Yu was the first to ask, "Zhang Yi, what are you going to do?" Zhang Yi shook the thunderbolt in his hand. "As long as I am watching, they will not be able to live in peace for a moment. Don't worry. Not to mention them. Even if the Burial Master takes action, he can't do anything to me." His eyes were serious. Now their attention is attracted to the 9-story demon tower. It's just right for us to start the action. Chapter 1350 Ultra-Long-Range Sniping. Zhang Yi could sense that there must be good stuff in the 9-story demon tower. But now it was a battleground for military strategists, and it would be fruitless to keep stalemating there. It would be better to take advantage of the emptiness inside the Demon Kingdom ancient city and let Liang Yu and others go to the city to collect information and see if there were any documents and records about ancient times. He could patrol the city from a high place. As he said, he could fight or walk now. With him watching here, neither Gao Changkong nor Lancelot dared to act rashly. Liang Yu and others immediately understood what Zhang Yi meant when they heard it. Yang Xinxin said, "If you want to find information, you must go to the local place where archives and books are stored. There must be ancient books here that do not exist in our outside world." Liang Yu and others heard it, and they left immediately with the help of Mu Yan's shadow and went to search the city. Zhang Yi himself set up a sniper in the air. He did not aim at the two of them because in that case, even if he restrained himself, it would be inevitable that his murderous intent would be leaked. Gao Changkong and Lancelot might notice it. It was a very magical thing, probably a human thought, released in the form of brain waves. The killing thought was a relatively powerful thought, which was easily received by people. He was just there observing the surroundings of the 9-story demon tower. He could temporarily not take the things in the demon tower, but others should not think about it either. Gao Changkong was also in a dilemma at this time. His reincarnation deduction would always fail when encountering Zhang Yi, so he did not dare to follow the usual routine in the next battle. But continuing to delay here was not a solution. After thinking for a while, he came up with a solution. So Gao Changkong said to Lancelot, "If we continue to stalemate, no one will get the things in the tower. Why not cooperate? How about we each take half of the things, and then go in and explore together?" Lancelot heard the words and looked at the horizon. In the distance, the funeral master was fighting a bloody battle with the demon country's high priest. And once he came after he finished, Lancelot's chance of getting the treasure in the tower would be even slimmer. Okay, I think this is a good idea. The two hit it off, and no one wanted to delay here. Then, the two called their men to enter the 9-story demon tower together. Zhang Yi saw this scene, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. This scene was also within his expectations. So he raised his gun without hesitation, aimed at Gao Changkong, and pulled the trigger. The loud sound of thunder was like a thunder in the sky, and the bullet wrapped in a terrifying void power instantly arrived behind Gao Changkong. Gao Changkong felt the threat of death, and the 6 reincarnation turntables appeared behind him instantly. A huge treasure bottle appeared in his palm and swallowed the bullet that symbolized death and destruction. Kacha! A very subtle shattering sound came, and everyone present heard it. A black crack appeared on the body of the treasure bottle.
Gao
Changkong's eyes became solemn, and his eyes looked in the direction of the bullet in the distance. Zhang Yi's bullet made his strongest defense method a little unable to resist.
He
could withstand at most 3 bullets, and the 4th bullet would completely destroy his treasure bottle seal. Alas, I knew that guy was difficult to deal with. Gao Changkong said helplessly. His plan was ruined by Zhang Yi before, and this time, after knowing that the person coming was Zhang Yi, his head also hurt a lot. Among the Ypsilons in Huashu country, the one he least wanted to face was Zhang Yi. There may be more powerful than Zhang Yi, but there is no one more disgusting than Zhang Yi's ability. Zhang Yi never cared about winning or losing with others. Perhaps for him, as long as he didn't die, he didn't lose. Therefore, even if the aliens who were stronger than Zhang Yi would be broken by his many escape and defense abilities. For example, now Zhang Yi was sniping them 10 kilometers away. Zhang Yi's bullets had the power to kill them, and if they wanted to solve Zhang Yi's problem, they had to send someone to find Zhang Yi to delay. However, neither side could go over, leaving the opportunity to the other side. Zhang Yi put away his gun after firing a bullet. He was not in a hurry to continue to attack. Just like this, putting pressure on the opponent in secret was the way of the old hunter. He could do nothing as long as the opponent did not enter the 9-story demon tower. Anyway, his people are already collecting useful information. Lancelot looked at Gao Changkong's cracked Aquarius and said, "Do you understand that guy's ability? Is there any way to get rid of him first?" Gao Changkong looked at Lancelot. His sniping method is very troublesome, but this person's close combat ability is very weak. As long as you can get close to his body, he will be extremely embarrassed. His words were half true and half false. When he met Zhang Yi 2 years ago, Zhang Yi at that time never liked to fight with others in close combat. But so much time has passed, he doesn't know what Zhang Yi is like now. He said this deliberately. The purpose is to let Lancelot go to find Zhang Yi, and he can take the opportunity to take people in to hunt for treasure. Lancelot's ice-blue eyes revealed a hint of sarcasm. If that's the case, why didn't you just attack him when he was here just now? Gao Changkong sighed lightly. After all, he and I are from the same hometown. I will take our feelings into consideration. I don't believe it, Lancelot said directly. He looked in the direction of Zhang Yi. That guy likes to attack from behind. How about this? The two of us stay to block his attack. Create an opportunity for our men to enter and look for the treasure of the Demon Kingdom. What do you think? I think, not very good, Gao Changkong said. I can catch his bullets at most 3 times. If we want to block his attack, we can't dodge. Otherwise our men will definitely die. But if we forcefully catch his attack, do we have to keep going? Lancelot snorted coldly with a gloomy face. Send the people in first. It won't take too long. The opening of the 9-story demon tower was on the top, which was blasted open by Zhang Yi. No matter how fast their people move, it will take 2 to 3 seconds. And this gap is enough for Zhang Yi to fire 5 shots. In other words, they must take these 5 bullets. Of course, it was difficult for one person to do it, but it was not a big problem if 2 people shared the burden. After thinking for a while, Gao Changkong said, "Well, let's each take 1 bullet. I've already taken 1, so you go first." The 2 of them made a prompt decision and immediately asked their men to enter the 9-story demon tower as quickly as possible. The 2 of them joined forces to stand in the direction of Zhang Yi, trying to forcibly block Zhang Yi's attack. Chapter 1351 Super Bullet. Zhang Yi saw their actions and understood their intentions in an instant. "You want to forcibly block my attack and create an opportunity for your men to enter the 9-story demon tower? Huh, how can it be that easy?" Zhang Yi flipped his hand and took out a small black box from the alien space. The box was slightly larger than the palm of his hand, and there was a skull engraved on it. Even when Zhang Yi took it, he was very careful, for fear of accidentally dropping it. Although the safety measures were very sufficient, when he thought of its ingredients, Zhang Yi's heart unconsciously slowed down his movements. When he opened the box, there were bullets that looked not much different from the holy silver bullets, except that there was a small skull mark on the bullets. Zhang Yi stuffed the bullets into the thunderbolt and aimed at the 9-story demon tower. He didn't need to aim at Gao Changkong or Lancelot, as the 2 could dodge his bullets. Attack them and save them. Just kill their men. Action. Gao Changkong and Lancelot gave an order, and then Lancelot was ready to intercept Zhang Yi's bullets. Without hesitation, several aliens from the Knights of the Round Table and the Garudas quickly used their means to rush towards the entrance. It didn't take them too long to reach a height of 1,000 meters. Zhang Yi's bullet locked onto one of them, and he quickly pulled the trigger. Boom! The loud noise shook the surrounding buildings. The bullet, which was blessed by the supernatural power, instantly arrived nearby and headed straight for Lanmalok, the shining knight of the Knights of the Round Table. Lanmalok didn't even look at it. Her speed was completely unable to dodge the bullet, but she believed that the deputy leader would block it. Sure enough, between the bullet and Lanmalok, Lancelot soared into the air. His left hand summoned a dark holy shield with the cross of Christ in the middle, but at this time there was a deep scar on the cross, symbolizing rebellion. In his right hand was the sword of conquest, Conger, and in his left hand was the shield of protection, Grad. The shield of protection blocked the bullet, and in just a moment, the collision occurred. Then, a dazzling white light suddenly burst out in front of him, instantly engulfing everything around him. After feeling this force, Lancelot's face suddenly changed. F***K. The huge force actually knocked him out in midair. The shockwave swept through the air, but was not completely blocked by Lancelot. The terrifying wind also impacted the bodies of others, making it difficult to move forward. Boom! Lancelot was hit on the 9-story demon tower, and a deep pit was smashed on the huge rock. What? No one expected this result. Lancelot can't even block a bullet from Zhang Yi. Seeing this situation happen, the operation had to be cancelled. If they received a few more bullets from Zhang Yi, even if Lancelot and Gao Changkong could withstand it, they would definitely be injured. They didn't want to become like that when they first arrived in the Demon Kingdom. Lancelot jumped down from the rock wall, his eyes fixed on the direction where Zhang Yi was, a little angry but more excited. There's something wrong with the bullet he used. The power of the explosion was obviously not from superpowers, but from the power of the bullet itself. Gao Changkong frowned. It's impossible. No matter how powerful a bullet is, it only relies on the kinetic energy brought by the propulsion of gunpowder. Lancelot took a deep breath. I don't know either. It might be some special weapon. After the end of the world, superpowers will rise, and only those who rely more on weapons to fight will spend a lot of energy on this. Lancelot guessed correctly. Zhang Yi has never been a person who only focuses on improving his superpower index. He will try every possible way to comprehensively improve his strength. He will try all possible means, including strategies, weapons, helpers, and war beasts. The bullet he used is also one of them. The technology of this bullet comes from the northern great country Surimans, which existed a century ago. Its name is the nuclear bullet. It is made of the extremely rare transuranium element californium, and its radioactivity far exceeds that of uranium. The equivalent released by a bullet after the explosion is equivalent to 7 tons of TNT explosives. According to the technological level before the end of the world, the cost of making such a bullet is more than 100 million. Even with the help of Liu Karen, Zhang Yi only has 20 such bullets. As for the raw materials, it is still a small and extremely precious part that he obtained through the exchange with Blizzard City. Zhang Yi remained calm and continued to take out a bullet worth hundreds of millions and stuffed it into the gun chamber. Even an alien at the Ypsilon realm would be injured if he wanted to block its power head-on. Of course, aliens with special abilities are an exception. For example, Zhang Yi's ability can be collected, or like Li Changgong, he can ignore all physical rules and cut through everything. If you want to take it without injury, you must be an alien with an extremely strong physique, at least at the level of Black Chariot. I really want to kill both of them in one breath. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes and said lightly, "But this is impossible. Unless it is an assassination, otherwise the open shooting will at most seriously injure 2 people. He stopped in time to prevent the other party from adapting to the power of his bullets. Just deter them and don't let them enter the 9-story demon tower. On the other side, Lancelot and Gao Changkong were at a loss. Gao Changkong looked at Lancelot teasingly. "Isn't your Britannia's industrial technology very advanced? Do you have any powerful weapons to use?" Lancelot said unhappily, "Do you think I don't want to?" "Yes, there are, but the problem is Dash." He took a deep breath and said helplessly, "I can't bring it out." Fighting across a continent, they simply can't carry a large number of weapons, let alone heavy weapons. This is one of Zhang Yi's biggest advantages as a space alien. Others fight a war of attrition, while he fights a war of props. Often his opponent has been consumed to vomit blood before he even touches the corner of his clothes. During the time Zhang Yi bought, Liang Yu had already started sweeping the ancient city with Fatty Su, Uncle Yu, Mu Yan, and others. It was easy to find important information. The ancient city was relatively backward, and most of the houses were made of stone. The houses of ordinary people were low, and the taller and better-looking houses belonged to the nobles and the government offices here. At this time, there were not many masters in the city, and the group had no obstacles and collected useful information everywhere. Soon, they found a library with a long history in the ancient city of Demon Country.